Hi everyone, this is FA from Analyze F, and today we are going to discuss what you need to know to become a data scientist. We are going to have an overview of the skills and tools you are going to need to become a successful data analyst or scientist. This video is not a tutorial or an in-depth explanation of these topics, but it is more like a map to guide you on your journey to become a successful data expert. Let's begin. I need to start with defining what data is and data science is. Data in a single word means information. So everything that we see, read, the books, the internet is actually information or in turn data. As technology advanced, we got better at finding, storing and processing data. However, this created a challenge for ourselves. We ended up with too many data points or too much information, and it is very difficult to find the valuable insights and data points in this sea of knowledge. This challenge is apparent both in our professional and personal lives. All the social media posts, news, and notifications we receive throughout the day, we have to manage and deal with all by ourselves. In the professional landscape, the field of data science emerged. People who are responsible for sorting through all of this information overload and finding the valuable ones. Before we go further, there is an interesting challenge in the data science industry. It is very difficult to define exactly what it is, so there are as many definitions as there are data scientists out there. Today, I will go over what my interpretation of data science is and try to explain my reasoning behind thinking that way. Data is handled in roughly 4 different stages: data generation, data storing, data processing, and data analysis. First, we need to generate the information. We can have surveys or track how people navigate our website or gather telemetry to understand what users do in our app. If you don't know what some of these terms mean, you don't need to worry. They are not needed to understand the concepts, and we will cover these in the future. Then, we need to store all of this information as best as we can. It needs to be accurate, have very few or no missing data points, and be as cheap to store and small sized as possible. A quick note here: data, when generated from machines, are always numbers. For example, the machines store the IP address to identify where someone is, not the name of the street or the name on the doorbell. So now we have our data, but it is not understandable for us humans. We need to process this and transform these numbers to something humans can grasp. This is where the processing comes in. From our example, we take the IP address and match it to a country or city. Or we take the ID number of a user and get their email address from our database. Finally, we have data that we can interpret. But it is a lot of data. We need to analyze and sift through it to gain the insights. We face the challenge we talked in the beginning of the video at last. This area, in on itself, is enormous and takes years to master, if it can be truly mastered at all. I personally call all of this flow data science. It is not limited to just one stage or the other. Also, because there are stages that are very different from each other, there are different domains where people specialize in. The most common ones are data engineers, data analysts, and data scientists. As you can see, the term data scientist does not cover the entire spectrum. That is because, realistically, no one can be an expert in all of these at the same time. And it shouldn't be expected of them. However, data scientists usually need to at least understand topics from multiple stages to perform their best. As you can see, a data scientist has numerous responsibilities. And as a result, we have a long list of things we need to learn to become a data scientist. However, I will focus on 3 key things that are fundamentals in all data science roles and will be most used day to day by data analysts and data scientists. SQL. As we gather data, it quickly becomes very difficult for traditional spreadsheet software to keep track of all of our data. Imagine you have a website that is visited by 100,000 people per day. That means you're going to reach the limits of Excel in roughly 10 days. Instead, we use data warehouses and databases. And to get stuff out of them, we are going to use something called Standard Querying Language, or SQL, or SQL. In its core, it is a simple language to learn and write. However, you can do various complex calculations and manipulations just by using SQL as well. We need to access all of the data that we are storing and processing, and currently it can be argued that SQL is the fastest and easiest way to do it. If you wish to learn SQL, I would recommend w3schools.com/SQL. It is in fact the tool that I have used to learn many years ago, and it only got better from there. Python. Python is a programming language that has many different applications in various industries. Over the years, it has become the go-to tool for data scientists for doing all the necessary calculations and data manipulations they need to do. It is fast and it is easy to write and get results out of. Even giving a beginner video on Python would make this video very long. However, I'm going to mention 4 things that you need to know how to do because they appear day to day in a lot of the data analyst and data scientist roles. These are data reading and writing, data aggregation, so summing things up or taking the average or taking the counts, manipulating dates, which is actually quite a tricky topic, and finally, be able to do some simple charts. Statistics. Statistics is one area that intimidates the newcomers the most. However, in data science, you need to do a lot of models and apply a lot of techniques that need statistics and probability knowledge. You need to at least understand the fundamentals, even if you don't need to do the proofs or the theorems yourself. One tip I can give here is you don't need to worry about trying to learn a big chunk of the statistics topics at one go. In fact, you're going to encounter many different models just naturally over your career. So it would be much better to just, as you experience them, dig into them, research, and try to enjoy the process of learning them without overwhelming yourself. In terms of resources, I can recommend 2 books. The first one is Naked Statistics by Charles Whelan. The second one is a much more technical book, but it's called The Elements of Statistical Learning. If you are more technically inclined, you might want to give this book a go. Now, you might be wondering, all of this is great, but what do I do once this video ends? Well, we have covered 3 topics, but if you really want to learn by doing, here is the step-by-step guide I would recommend in very simple terms. First, install Python on your machine. To do that, there are many different instructions, but I would recommend searching for something called Anaconda, which gathers all of your data science related and Python related packages, tools into just one place and makes your life so much easier. The website, which is down below, has all of the information needed that shows you how to install it and how to start using it. The second step is going to a website called kaggle.com. It has various topics and competitions on data science, and I'm going to recommend starting with the Titanic dataset. It is intended to be an introduction to data science, and a lot of people have shared their code and methodologies right on the Kaggle website itself. Follow along, or code along if you wish, and it is going to teach you some very useful techniques and habits for your career. As you are going through them, be mindful of the 4 stages of data science that I have mentioned in the beginning of the video. Today, we have went over what a data scientist is, and in my opinion, the 3 most fundamental techniques that any data scientist should know. If you're interested in any of these topics, I plan to make more videos in the future. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. See you in the next one.